Tom Abraham here for my friends at Your Home Window Company. When it comes to replacement windows, exterior doors, or new window screens, Your Home Window is the answer anywhere in Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, or Hartselle. Your Home Window windows and doors are made here in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. When replacing those old windows or doors, Your Home Window has the solution for you. In-home estimates are always free and financing is available. Learn more at yourhomewindow.com and see clearly with Your Home Window. Visit yourhomewindow.com to make an appointment today.
In the Army National Guard, soldiers serve part-time and close to home.
My community means everything to me. It helped shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Steve Moulton filling in for Scott Tyson this Friday morning. That is Drew DeArmond. That is John. You and I are getting to get to know each other quite well here today.
Yes, First, we will. It's Steve today.
Yeah. I totally forgot about this today. I really did. When I said, sure, I'll fill in on the Blitz.
Yeah.
And then Scott texted me last night. Well, what was that, like 10 o'clock last night?
Close to it, because I was eyes were, I got a little wide. I texted you to the side, and I said, hey, man, if you got to make it at 8, I said, Johnny Boy and I can handle the first hour,
Well,
we could do more hippity hopper, man. We were boing yesterday.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I-85. You didn't hear about that?
Oh, the kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
Yeah. Sheila.
Scott was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, well, the boing is a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we relived some Looney Tunes. I watched some on YouTube.
Yeah. So, John, full disclosure for those of you watching on WZZN TV, thank you for liking, subscribing, and all that mess. But I would have been here at least 10 minutes ago.
Right.
But a fast food restaurant chain, I'll just say that rhymes with McDonald's.
Right.
It used to be called fast food.
Right. It wasn't fast this morning, huh?
No. I sat there for 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
McDonald's been slacking.
And so for those of you just sitting So I went to Chick-fil-A. And you know what? That's my bad for not going to Chick-fil-A right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That is my bad, McDonald's. Not going to make that mistake again.
Right. I got you. Was it the one on South Parkway?
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm talking about which end, though, McDonald's? It's because there's several.
It's the one closer to Joe Davis.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's that one at times can be an unmitigated disaster. Now, and there are others that are machines. I mean, they're very, very good.
Well, and so the South Memorial Chick-fil-A, a fine sponsor of this very radio station. But I did go to the one
new digs there.
Yes, but I did go to the one on Governors. So that is kind of closer to my house.
Well, no, the Governors is right behind your place, basically, man.
Well, I mean, I don't want
and it's just
I don't want to give out my street address.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I believe that one's like drive-through only too, right? It's like a machine. So
yes, it is.
That's probably hindsight being 2020 or what was it, Coach Pat? Now you say 50-50?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, hindsight's 50-50.
You probably should have gone to that first, and you'd have been out of there in like 2 minutes.
And man. I would have had totally. I did most of my prep already.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's a shame for the Lakers. Just
Dang!
I mean, that's just a shame. That's awful.
Did LeDum score in the fourth quarter again? I don't think he did.
No, he did not.
No, I'm sorry. And it's really,
and they were the 3 seed.
I mean, I listened when they won like 5 in a row at one point. I guess I don't know. I didn't really keep up, but I kept seeing Sports Center in the morning. Are the Lakers going to the finals? That's what everybody kept saying.
Yeah, it's time for what? ESPN's now done with the Lakers today. So what?
JJ Redick, is he Coach of the Year because he won 50 games?
Did you hear him before the game?
No. What did the clown say? And I love Duke.
Oh my goodness!
But JJ Redick has about as much right to be the head coach of the Lakers as I do.
So JJ Redick before the game was asked about whether or not he's going to lean more on his assistant coaches to help him sub out because
oh my God.
I mean, this is an aging team.
Right.
And he did not take that very well. So you're saying I'm not talking to my assistants? You're saying I'm not talking to my assistants?
Let me tell you something, Steve.
Stormed out.
When you're that sensitive and just defensive, you know why you're that defensive, Steve? Because you're not very good at your job and you need to go back to podcasting. That's why. I mean, again, he's not a head coach. He's not, he never will be. He was a great player at Duke. He had a hell of a career as a shooter.
Yeah.
And a role player, but he's an arrogant turd and he's not head coach material. And if you know, there's one thing on this show, I'm not afraid to say things. And again, he's just JJ Redick is not head coach material.
It was a 50-win season.
Who cares?
I mean, for a first-year head coach, I thought it was a decent first year for him.
Look, dude, I've seen Monty Williams win 50-plus games, then get fired a year and a half later. I mean, look, Frank Vogel. What did they do to him after he won the less than 2 years after he won the championship in the bubble, man? LeBron got him fired. So LeBron's good at that. He'll throw everybody under the bus but himself. And again, and Luka, love his game. He's a great offensive player. Yeah. He's one of the worst defenders in the NBA, and everybody knows it. He can't guard a lamppost. You better surround him with guys that can defend. And LeBron sure as hell isn't one of them.
Well, I always enjoy now watching Anthony Edwards do his thing.
Well, I enjoyed, Scott and I have actually talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
We've talked more NBA than we usually do, which is probably about 5 more minutes. But the highlights are interesting that the officials are letting them play and getting more physical.
Yeah.
And LeBron's taking about as well as I thought he would, which is, just staring in disbelief because he's 6'8", 240, and he plays like he's 6'1", 210 pounds. I mean, he's soft. And Anthony Edwards is just basically telling him that, and Rudy Gobert, like, I've read their lips, like, and here's the thing. They never would do that to Jordan, okay, or Kobe. There's one thing you're not going to do. You're not going to tell them you soft ass bleep. Because if
that's why I looked at you right. This is the first.
No,
segment.
I know what I can say,
Okay.
and then,
Right.
but if you did that, you know, you
gonna McAfee us? Is that what you're doing to us this morning?
I'm just saying, go to YouTube, look up Dominique Wilkins, look up Kevin Garnett, look up some of them in the past that made the mistake of starting to talk to folks like that, and what ended up happening, and when you got guys like Allen Iverson, who arguably is as good a under 5'10" player as there was in the history of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And he says those two guys were killers. And you look at the look on his face, like that's what he means. And lately, I sure as heck haven't been agreeing with much Stephen A. Smith has said. But Steve, one thing I will agree with is he 110%. Nobody has ever feared LeBron. They respected him, but they don't fear him. So they feared Jordan and they feared Kobe.
I watched 3/4 of that game last night, and I turned it off. Even when the Lakers got up ahead, I think it was in the third quarter, I never once thought watching that game, boy, the Lakers are going to win this game. Minnesota was clearly the better team. But congratulations to the Timberwolves as Anthony Edwards is able to lead a team into the playoffs.
Now, I will
unlike
say
he
this,
did
though.
in college.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now I'm not ready to say Anthony Edwards is in the class of Jordan and Kobe. Though.
Oh no, I'm not either.
No,
I
I hear people say that, and I'm like, come on, let's slow your roll a little bit.
Yeah,
let's slow the roll. But I do like his game. I will say this, and I like his mentality. He's not soft. And
how did Tom Crean do that?
How
did Tom Crean do that?
Before pre-NIL, dog. That's what it was.
No, I'm talking about have a talent like that and not make it to the big dance at all.
Well, why don't we tweet Jeff Goodman and have him go on the record if he would like to? It would probably be brutal.
I'm good with that.
I mean, you know.
I'm good with that.
I have Goodman's number. I wish we could get him on the show, but if he would go on the record about his opinion of Tom Crean, we would never get to speak to Tom Crean again, pretty much.
I'm okay with that.
I have spoken briefly to Tom Crean, but let's just say that Tom Crean is not on Jeff Goodman's list of great coaches. So, and if you look at Tom Crean's career after Marquette.
So you're saying JJ Redick is the NBA version of Tom Crean?
You could say that Tom Crean might be his Uncle Buck.
Ooh.
If we're going to go pop culture
sneaky
here.
Great movie.
Yeah.
That is one of the movies that if
John, you weren't born, son.
No, I'm telling, but I think it holds up pretty good.
It does.
I mean,
but you know,
there are so many channels that replay that. I ended up watching.
But after Dwayne Wade and Marquette and the Final Four run, and then a good run at Marquette, Crean had, you know,
that was a better movie for Macaulay Culkin than Home Alone.
The first half of his, because I really didn't realize how many years that Tom Crean was at Indiana. He was there 9, almost a decade. But the first 4 or 5 were good. The last 3 or 4 were not. And that's why he ended up getting ran and getting fired. And then, as we all know, if you take out the Anthony Edwards recruitment at Georgia, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And yet they didn't get to the NCAA tournament with Anthony Edwards. So Mike White has already done much more at Georgia than Tom Crean ever did. Crean just, for whatever reason, he might end up one of these, you know, getting another mid-major job at some point, but he's doing a lot of TV. And he's not bad at television, but I'll be the first to tell you, I thought at one time Crean was a solid coach. He was even on my radar for Alabama before they hired Anthony Grant, and they, you know, and then that didn't happen. But I'm glad it didn't, because I was told by a great mutual friend of ours, let's just say, that you don't want Tom Crean, and this guy has never led me astray. He also told me that Greg Marshall would have been a colossal mistake, and told me 24 hours before it became official that he ain't coming and you're not going to miss it. And of course, we all know what happened to Greg Marshall's career. So this person has never steered me wrong when it comes to coaches.
Gosh,
so,
Greg Marshall. Man, how about that name?
Yeah. Or, you know, I got ambushed, you know, by a certain person that's no longer in this market. He was in the Wichita market and had me on a show, and I got ambushed by a Doberman up there.
I don't think he's in the business anymore.
Yeah. And, you know, they called him the king of Wichita at that time. I wonder if they miss him now. Because they thought he would be there forever and they'd keep making Final Fours, and we all know what's happened.
Shockers.
Ain't shocking anybody anymore. So
256-576-4977, the telephone number. Coming up on the program here today. Do you want me to preview all 4 hours ahead, or I'll just do this show before we move on to the next show?
Well, I'm doing that tomorrow, though. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll be here tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Well,
am I filling in for Scott tomorrow too?
Well, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, if you feel up to doing a marathon again, I mean, we could let Steve have a little time off if he wanted it. I mean,
I'm all right.
John and I can do this, and then I'm just going to slide over to your seat and from 9 to 11 and do the blitz.
I've already been doing this all week long, boys. I'm ready to keep it going.
So Steve,
you want to arm wrestle?
So Steve, we can. We know that you're not a morning person all the time here, so we can give you some time off.
I know for a fact that I'm going to Chick-fil-A more than anything for my morning.
I mean, if you want to come in tomorrow, you certainly you can. But if
I'm glad I've got the official approval there of. One Drew DeArmond.
Well, I mean, it's Talkin Ball. I've been doing this for 10 years on this station. John's that's his show, The Blitz. So if you want to sleep in, you certainly can. And I think as long as Baghdad Bob doesn't burst into flames over here, we're good.
I love all the references that Steve's like, no. I
know exactly what he's talking about.
But now you're a part of it.
Yeah,
so
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And you see, this is why you have to tune in every day, because the Druinary grows day by day. So one of these days we will publish the Druinary for all of us to have the secret decoder ring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I did kind of touch on last night during the drive is the Alabama House approving regulations for AHSAA classifications for English language learners. Now, keep in mind, this went through the House, not through the Senate yet, but nonetheless, it was intriguing to hear Representative Brock Coven, a Republican from Albertville, that came forward with this bill.
Right.
And the intriguing part necessarily is not what is involved in them trying to figure out how to rejigger and how
and
who
not
to
surprised
count.
that it's a representative from Albertville that came up with it.
No, he is.
And I'm not taking a shot at Albertville in any form.
No. I mean, he mentioned Albertville, he mentioned Decatur, and he mentioned Russellville. And I mean,
no Crossville.
Well, I mean, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the same neighborhood, basically.
Right. And it's the alma mater of one McEdgepeth.
Oh, that's right. But the issue is classification more than anything. And this is where it's getting kind of hairy. After talking to Representative Coven, what was added on late to that bill really intrigues me. And that, keep in mind, the AHSAA is a private organization, not public.
Right.
And I that part to me is harder and harder to grasp the longer that I have involvement with the AHSAA. And we certainly cover a lot of high school sports right here. But at the end of the bill, what was thrown in was adding 2 non-voting members onto the board as well. And I'm sure that really made this bill even more endearing to the AHSAA.
Well, and you know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of several years ago, the dust-ups with the Masters.
Yeah.
And about female membership and, representation and everything, because they're private and they make their own decisions and they have been forever and probably always will be. And there was some controversy there for a year or two about it. And that's kind of what, because the Masters is still, I think, the greatest golf tournament in the world, but there's, Augusta National Golf Club is just one of those things they do their own thing and they're very comfortable in their own skin and they don't like, to be told what to do, or it's something that there's not been a ton of change.
Well, I'd honestly like to hear from folks in Albertville or the Crossville area. If you've got an opinion on this, he was telling me that he got a lot of support from this as soon as he put it to, as soon as it passed, that he has received a lot of positive feedback.
In those communities, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Because they've been affected adversely athletically and with their enrollments. And what I mean by adversely is they've moved up 2 to 3 classes in some cases where they're not comfortable, and it's very hard to compete because if you're keeping score, you want to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you, money has not been a problem at Albertville for compensating coaches.
I mean, beautiful
and facilities are outstanding.
Fantastic.
But it's hard for them to compete in 7A athletics. And when I was growing up, they were basically a 5A program, and them in Guntersville. It's the
seeing what
longest-running
Chip
rivalry.
English did at Hoover,
and I'm just talking about growing up. I mean, with the longest-standing rivalry in high school football, which is Guntersville. It's Hatfields, McCoys, Alabama, Auburn, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And because of the changes like that, even though Albertville built a new stadium, built a new campus, has outstanding facilities, has a practice facility, everything, it's not competitive right now. And Guntersville's a 5A school, but Guntersville's infrastructure has not changed much.
Yeah.
And Guntersville's finishing a new school and things of that nature, but
that's right.
It's just not been competitive. And Albertville's had trouble competing. Now, boys basketball, they've done a solid job, but if they were a 5A school right now, and especially with some of the basketball talent that they've had, I feel comfortable in saying, and for much of that, Coach Harding's teams, Patrick Harding was 5A and 6A.
Yeah.
But if some of his teams had stayed 5A, I think they win a state championship in the last decade. I think they were good enough to do that. And especially some of his 6A years where they were really, really good, and they would have been able to win 5A, but they couldn't. And then they moved up to 7A and they competed, but it was very, very hard. And so they would be much more comfortable being a 5A or a 6A level school, especially 5A. I think they would compete very, very well and be able, and I'm talking about across the board, athletically. But don't get me wrong. I mean, girls basketball this year had a really good run to the Elite Eight, and then, but again, I just think they would compete much better if they were looking Guntersville in the eye, which is basically they're a measuring stick for each other. To me, it's they compete against each other. They feed off each other, and I think they'd be much more comfortable if they were a 5A program.
I can already hear Scott. You're late for a break, and you're late. You're late for a break. So we are indeed late for our first break. We will talk some Auburn and Alabama coming up in hour number 2. Jordan Harper going to join us in hour number, 7:30. 7:30. That's after this first break. I guess so. And then we'll also talk to Nathan King at the top of the hour, talking a little Auburn.
Doing it a little earlier like we did yesterday, Steve.
Okay. All right.
7:30.
Although it
today.
Feels very nice and cool.
Yeah, it's not 77. It's 69 degrees.
Let's go ahead and take our first break. Thank you, Chick-fil-A. Thank you, Chick-fil-A.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still working with a clean slate this morning. Traffic moving along nicely. We don't have any incidents to report. You be careful. Put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well, to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home doing whatever it is you do. Then the power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
Thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good Thursday morning to you. Welcome into the Blitz. The Blitz is after this show.
Yeah,
It's talking ball.
I do that when I'm hosting the drive. I'll say talking ball.
This is going to be a long day for yours truly.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to cut you a break for tomorrow if you need it, because we know you're going to have a long day, man.
Long day indeed. But, I mean, not digging ditches.
Well, I mean, hey, we know. As we always say, you found the sign. We're really happy about that. There are no rehearsals here.
There are no rehearsals here.
Just have fun on 9.
Be on time, be prepared, have fun.
Yeah,
that's the other part of that sign that I didn't have enough letters for.
Well, we're good. We were on time. We're having fun. And that's even when you had to spend 15 minutes at McDonald's for, and
Chick-fil-A, baby.
And then pivot.
Bama Bino. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Bama Bino.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, sir.
Regardless of what shift you work, Steve, we're always glad to hear you.
Thank you, Bama Bino.
Well, I was thinking about calling in. I heard a little bit about that legislation, and I think it's time it was addressed. You said the constituents call in, but I'm kind of north of there, but the south end of DeKalb County and my county has got Kilpatrick, and it borders Boaz. So Boaz and Kilpatrick have a high concentration of illegal aliens, and I don't mean that in a prejudicial way, but if I hadn't read the legislation, but I'm assuming it addresses something similar.
They want to count the students, the English language learner students, only the ones that play sports are the ones they want to count against the overall attendance of the school,
which would allow the schools to reclassify.
Right. Is that similar to where you do the census in their county illegal aliens and they get another electoral college vote?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Electoral college draw it with. Well, that's the way it is. You know sports, I know politics. So they count
Talk Radio WZZ
people instead of citizens, and so it punishes. They get more population, so they get more electoral votes. So I think it should be only citizens and people that go to that school that are counted as far as playing against these 7A schools and all that. So is that kind of what it addresses? Not moving them up because of visitors or whatever? Is that what it addresses?
Basically, I mean, what you're talking about is a lot of what this bill is about, Bambino, of trying to reclassify schools like Albertville so they can play in. Because 7A football is a different brand of football. It is
Athletics,
a different brand. Well, football in particular. But I mean, I'll agree across the board. You're right. But from a physicality standpoint, from a depth standpoint, this is why I heard from Representative Coven yesterday that some people are just opting out of telling their kids not to play sports, because they don't want them to get hurt out there.
Right. Yeah. They don't have the population of Hoover and places like that, even though they might have that many students, but they're not residential students. But anyway, I was going to say, y'all know my connection to Five Staff.
Oh, yeah.
A buddy of mine said that Benefield, he was keeping Anderson on his toes. He just calls him every now and then. He called him at 5 o'clock the other morning. And he said, I'm going to be sure you was up. And he said, Coach, I was up at 4:10 this morning. I've already had therapy. So, hey, he's on his toes up there at Clemson. We're hoping he can contribute. And, shoot, if he stays healthy, they could even use him for running back if they had to. I don't know if they cross positions, but he's going to be a hoss if he don't, get hurt or something.
He's a great athlete.
But enjoy listening to you guys.
Thank you, Bambino. Have a good
God
morning.
bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Let's squeeze in Brandon before our first guest. How are you, Brandon?
What's up, Brandon?
Man, I'm loving that varsity shirt this morning, Moulton.
You're
You
welcome.
got the right energy.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Also,
The
and I
orange
also
drink.
was laughing. I was in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and when Bino said high concentration of illegal aliens, I was laughing so hard I dropped my card out the window and had to open the door.
High concentration.
Oh, boy. Oh.
I appreciate that laugh.
Did you get your card back?
Really, I did. I had that small crevice between the door and the wall. I felt like a circus freak trying to get it. So I've done my athleticism for today as far as I'm concerned.
Nice.
Well, they'd be
You guys were
proud
talking
of you
about
at the
Albert.
Garden.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to being at Sand Mountain Wednesday.
Nice. Sand
I'm trying
Mountain
to
at the
work that-
park, yeah. Great facility.
Hoping to catch that game, and maybe I might double back and catch Tom's show if he's on location. I can't remember if he does food on Tuesday or Thursday, but something to that extent.
He is at Valley Equipment Rental today.
I think he should be at Baumhauer's next Tuesday if the schedule.
No, it's us next week.
It is
Yeah.
next week. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't think because I don't think he went this week to Baumhauer, so I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, he was there.
He was.
Yeah, he was
okay.
there.
My bad.
We got Birmingham, Blountesville, and Coleman on the schedule today, so we're rolling hard.
Yeah.
So we'll be headed that way. But y'all were talking about Albertville and Gunnersville. If you ever get a chance, go watch a boys basketball game between the two of them. If you want to see the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
There was we already heard about the towel incident this year
Man, I'm
and
telling
watched
you,
the replay.
Yeah, watching the replay, I didn't get to go this year, but I've been before.
Yeah.
And just when those people walk in the door and start staring at each other, I've said many a times, and I mean this, I've felt it 4 or 5 times in my life. One, when Moulton was doing the Peoria game last year on the radio game, was it 2? He was talking about what was about to go.
Yeah, game 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When you in your mind, you see that Gangs of New York scene where they're talking about what weapons they're going to use when they have the showdown.
Yeah.
Those people in Gunnersville and Albertville looking at each other, they're communicating that to each other in case this spills into the parking lot.
Yeah.
And you can feel it.
Well, what it basically is, it's Celtics Lakers in the 80s or Bulls Pistons in the 90s.
And the thing is, you wouldn't expect it. Like, I never expected that when I walked in that game for it to be that tense. But the minute I walked through the door, you could cut it with a knife.
Got relatives over there. I've been through a bunch of
You
them.
need to go check out a North Sand Mountain Eider game.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the Garden play against both of them this year, and I did not get to do that. And I'd like to check out a North Sand Mountain and Eider versus Pisgah game if I get a chance, because Rick has told me to check those out.
Right. No question.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The boys, the Spring Garden boys versus Skyline was a very contentious game. And I did not realize that one was such a rivalry. But, man, that Skyline, they got a lot of skinny, gangly guys, but, man, they can shoot.
Oh, they are. They love hoops, brother.
They hit some shots, and I just you look at your wife and say, okay, well, I don't know what to say about that. And they hit about 7 or 8 of them that they just shouldn't go in, and every one of them's threes. They just high degree of basketball going on at that place.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question about your Rocket City Awards.
All right.
Okay. So what are the categories of awards y'all are given this year, and when is it?
The when is it is June
16th.
June 16th. That is the win.
Yep.
And I believe it's back at Mars Music Hall.
Yep.
That's the where.
Mars Music Hall.
Yep.
In downtown Huntsville.
And categories are being discussed.
Well, I will tell you, we've got North Alabama College Team of the Year, North Alabama College Athlete of the Year, North Alabama College Team of the Year. You also got the high school awards for high school team of the year, high school athlete of the year, coach, team, the Billy Neighbors Lifetime Achievement Award, pro athlete of the year from the area. And that's just a sample of the categories that we attack.
Yep.
Now, these awards are only for people in Huntsville, Madison area, right?
Madison County in particular. As for colleges, will pan out to North Alabama and Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I wondered about that. I didn't know how all it worked. I'd never been to it.
Right.
And was listening to a little bit of talk. Now, are y'all going to give an award for who does the most shows in a year at here at the station at 97.7?
No. This is not an award show for us.
No.
This is an award show
recognizing the community
for the athletic achievements of our area.
Our 3rd annual.
That's right.
I didn't know if they were going to call Moulton's name and say,
no.
Moulton for doing all 3 shows 54 times last year.
All right.
Brandon, I appreciate the phone call.
Phone call, man. Have a great day, man. Safe travels.
You want to hop into Jordan Harper, or do we need to take a break, or what do you want to do here?
I think we need to take a break. And
you want to take a break, and then Jordan Harper joins us next right here on Talkin' Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly clouded, overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms going to develop across the Tennessee Valley, especially through the later part of the afternoon and then early into the evening. Temperatures climbing into the lower 80s across the Tennessee Valley. Now, some of those thunderstorms could pack a bit of a punch, some gusty winds, and a little bit of small hail thrown into the mix as well. Temperatures dropping into the lower 60s as we head into the overnight. A lot of that activity going to come to an end across the Tennessee Valley. Much the same, though, as we head into your Friday, a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky. Temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got one wreck showing in Decatur. This one's going to be Highway 20. Looks like it's probably about the belt line. I haven't heard a report of an injury there. Everything else looks good this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. Do your methods to lose weight no longer work for you? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm Jeff Jr., founder and CEO of Trajan Wealth. I was born and raised in northern Wisconsin by both my father, who owned a small 10-lane bowling alley, and my mother, who was a nurse, who did her best caring for everyone in our small town. My parents stressed with me that if you were going to do anything, it needed to be done right or not done at all. I later joined the Marine Corps, where additional values were instilled. Values like honor, courage, and commitment. The motto of the Marine Corps, Semper Fi, which means always faithful. The best part of Trajan Wealth, our 100-plus employees who also embrace the exact same values. If your current financial advisor is more interested in selling you something or is more loyal to their own financial gain than yours, give us a call for a second opinion. We would be honored to hear from you. Call Trajan today, 256-208-9000. That's 256-208-9000. 9,000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey, good Thursday morning to you. Welcome into Talkin' Ball. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton, John Abraham behind the glass here on this Thursday. I know we've been kind of focusing a lot of our attention on the NFL draft, and SEC baseball is in full gear. By the way, May 1st, we're walking you up to the SEC baseball tournament later on this month as well. That ought to be fantastic. But
it starts May 20th.
There was some big news there for Alabama basketball as well, Drew.
Yeah, there really was. And it was a big addition, literally and figuratively. And we're going to go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline here in just a second to talk to Tide Illustrated's Crimson Tide basketball analyst, Jordan Harper. He's come on with us throughout this process as Nate Oates and Preston Murphy are putting together another high-level roster for Alabama basketball. Still got a couple pieces left, but they added a big one yesterday from the WAC in Tarleton State. He's the reigning WAC Freshman of the Year. It's Keaton and Bristow is what I was told yesterday. Now, I'll ask Jordan about that because he's the expert that we're having on here on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. But, Jordan, you're with Drew and Steve. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, fellas. Thanks for having me on again.
Now, is this Keaton? Is it Bristow?
That's what's been relayed to me. Yeah,
okay. I thought Bristow. So. I got you. But
a lot of people saying Bristow, but
yeah. And I did it first, but I try to pay attention. Okay. And this guy came on my radar a couple of weeks ago. I had a friend point out that he thought Alabama was trying to get involved here. And I watched his film, and when I first saw his size listed at 6'7", I was like, I thought he might be a Ryland Griffin type. But then I watched his tape, and I was like, no, this is more a Jaron Stevenson kind of guy. But what are your thoughts as you've watched film with him? You coach the game. You follow Alabama very closely. But he looks like a good fit from a skill standpoint.
Yeah, at this point of the offseason, they're just trying to wrap it up a little bit, try to get a little bit of depth at certain positions like losing Jaron and then Mo and Darion. It kind of leaves you a little thin at the 3/4 spot. And that's where I see Bristow playing, which is basically where, like you mentioned, that's where Jaron Stevenson played majority of his time here. Nate tried to force him at the 3, just didn't work out. He played some 4, but he's going to fit right in just because he has the athletic profile that Nate's looking for. 6'8", long, really athletic, and his shot is kind of what's holding him back from playing, any higher. I think if he developed a shot, he could potentially play at the 2 at a pinch. But I think he's going to settle more at the 3/4. He does have some defensive profile, like potential in his profile to where he could be a pretty, average, competent defender, which is, for what Nate Oates wants to do. For a depth piece, that would be great. You just don't want a traffic cone out there. And, with his profile, I think he's going to fit in well. He'll probably be more of like a 11th/12th man unless he shows that he deserves more playing time. But if you can get a guy like that, probably as cheap as what they got him for, you got to be thrilled if you're Nate Oates getting the WAC Freshman of the Year, someone with that much potential to just basically ride the bench majority of the time, be a project player, and kind of see what happens with him developmentally.
Well, and I like his 3-point shot. It's not ugly. It's not Mo Diabate's, even though Mo improved it this year. But he shot 32%. And so it looks like he's comfortable doing it. And sometimes, and if you're in a different system, and the way, and I just love the way Nate always encourages his guys, because Jaron went through some struggles, but he always told Jaron, shoot the ball when you're open. And he infuses a lot of confidence in people, because we saw Aiden Holloway blossom in the system as well.
Yeah, I mean, system fit is no joke. I mean, a lot of players become a lot more comfortable. I mean, you saw Aiden Holloway last year. I mean, he's a great example of how it can benefit someone. And then you have the example of Rylan Griffin going from Alabama to Kansas, where it doesn't work out. So I definitely think you can see Bristow becoming a comfortable piece. He's definitely going to have to shoot the ball if he's going to play that 3/4 spot, because those wing players are very important to spacing for Alabama. And I think that's one thing that kind of held Mo back from getting a lot of playing time, is that they didn't get a lot of spacing with him on the floor, just because they helped off a little bit more than what they could for other players on Mo. So I think you could see his 3-point shot blossom, like I said, and that opens up a potential another position that he could play down the road, because he's not a bad ball handler. I mean, he's not somebody you want primarily on ball, but as someone like secondary off ball guy that could, handle the ball in a pinch and be able to shoot it, if he gets that 3-point shot up to 35, 36% or higher, I mean, you could see him playing, 2 through 4. I mean, that's just kind of the profile he has.
Boy, this is a lot of changeover from last year. This is a lot of roster changeover. Do you have maybe kind of I know it's early to ask this, because listen, I know what to think about Nate Oates. He is elite. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of expectation, there was a lot of expectations for that team last year. Do you have like maybe a temperature out of the gate on how good this team potentially can be?
Right now, as the roster stands, obviously there's question marks at a couple other positions. I think they're trying to add 2 more players.
Okay.
But if the roster stood the way it is now, I would say they're roughly about a 5 or 6 seed, potentially a 4. I mean, looking at the roster, you look at it on paper, it's nothing that stands out to you. It's nothing like, last year, college basketball, like the whole landscape was different, just because you had these super seniors and it made teams look stacked, and they were.
Yeah.
And now you look at rosters around the country and you're like, wow, Alabama's not the only one that's kind of hurting right now. I mean, the whole sport is, just because you got all of those 6th, 7th year guys out. And now this is what transfer portal constructed rosters should look like. There's really no super teams, and it's going to be a bunch of just plug and place, and it's going to be a lot of, can these players that they're bringing in live up to their potential? If Jalil Bethea lives up to his potential, if Taylor Bowen lives up to his potential, they could be a top 3 seed, just because those guys, it hinders on guys like that panning out. But say if they brought back a LeBaron Philon out of the draft, they bring in a Rylan Griffin potentially to fill that 3 spot, then you're looking at more of a better ceiling play for this team. I think this team has a pretty decent floor and a pretty good ceiling as well, just because they took a chance on some high-rated players. Bethea was a top 10 player coming out of high school and had a lot of turmoil with the head coach leaving and everything in Miami. And then Bowen was on a pretty bad team as well, and I think he is just a picture-perfect fit for this system. But you've got to have guys like that, Aiden Sherrill, to take that next step. Aiden Holloway is probably going to be depended more on the ball this year than last year. He can't just stand in the corner or on the wing and shoot anymore. So it's a lot of moving pieces, but I still like the floor of this team being probably a 6 seed.
And we're talking
going into the year.
Pardon me. We're talking to Jordan Harper, Tide Illustrated. Last few minutes with him. You're good at this radio thing. You do a daily podcast, so that's a great segue. I still think they're wanting to add 2 pieces, and the 2 that you're really focusing on for me is a Rylan Griffin, and then riding it out with the NBA draft process with LeBaron Philon.
Yeah, they would have really liked to have landed Cedric Howard.
Oh yes, I think that definitely was the first choice.
Yeah.
That definitely was, just because I don't think that they're overly optimistic. I think they're hopeful is a good word for it, that LeBaron Fallon might make the decision to come back. It really depends on if he gets that two-way promise, the little handshake agreement, as they call it, during the process. If he doesn't get that, I could see where he could come back. But they were hoping to just not have to worry about it, not have LeBaron worry about it, get Cedric Howard and move forward. But since that ship sailed, I think that all you really can do now is sit back and hope for LeBaron. And if you don't get LeBaron, then, I mean, Aiden Holloway is a great backup plan.
Yeah.
As a point guard, you just have to hope that he can eliminate some of the mistakes he had as a primary ball handler at Auburn. You have to hope that doesn't affect his three-point shot, having to create more than what he's used to. But also adding someone like Rylan Griffin that knows the system is
very comfortable. Yeah,
very comfortable in the system, solid defender, shot it well in our Alabama system, and just kind of he's kind of an anchor, I would say, for this team if they would get him, just because he would kind of stabilize a lot of what they lost with Mo and Darion Reed.
Yeah.
So those are the two pieces I see them looking at. There is a chance that they could go out and, find a point guard somewhere. A guy that just a random name that pops off my head is Malik Thomas. I mean, someone like that's still out there looking, that they might not have had interest in before, and kind of just turn up the heat for. But those are the two guys that they're kind of honing in on right now.
Yeah, but with Coward, he's off the board, so there's money available, and you can.
Right.
And that's the one thing about this was there sure as heck has been for Kentucky, because when you're paying Denzel Aberdeen 2.5 and Mo Diabate 2, it just depends on how much money you can come up with and entice LeBaron Fallon, because I think LeBaron would make more money coming back to college, and then if he takes the next step as a player, could be a guy that's in the lottery the next year, or at least in the top 20, where you don't even have to worry about a two-way. But that's going to be very interesting. But Jordan, we know your time is short. We appreciate it. Let everybody know how to follow you, and we always enjoy the intel and the conversation.
Yeah, fellas, always enjoy it. You can find me on Twitter at HarperNation24 if you want a good follow for Alabama basketball. I got a Alabama basketball podcast, like Drew mentioned, the Double Dribble podcast, going on its 7th year of being on the networks. But you can follow that podcast or me on Twitter if you want all your Alabama basketball.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
Let's go ahead and take our final time out. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of racks working now. The 7300 block of Wall Triana, that's near Legacy School. That one had injury and entrapment. And we got one on Pettis Road at Douglas Road that's reporting as an injury type. No hoses, no mask. Dr. Sandman has the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bad compressor, a leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
That's the price you pay. All right. So the last guest we just had on, what is the name of his podcast?
Double Dribble Podcast.
Double Dribble. So if you're of our age,
Yeah,
do you remember that game? Do you remember Double Dribble?
I do.
I pulled up an old version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Double Dribble basketball.
Oh, baby. I'm telling you, I spent so many hours in the arcade playing this.
Double Dribble.
Oh, my goodness. Great. And by the way, this is just someone playing Double Dribble. Oh, boom, boom. There you go.
This is about as good as Hippity Hop yesterday. Boing, 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 boing.
I mean, this was state of the art back in the day.
Man, this is the old school, man.
Yeah, the old double dribble action.
Why are the graphics so realistic?
I mean, I cannot tell you the last time I played a video game.
I can't either. I'll say I think I know. Stanley O's Miss Pac-Man when it was working.
Oh yeah, that one in the corner.
Yeah, because it's a quarter one. Yeah, I'd have a quarter every now and then, and I would play. Even though I will say the joystick was a little stiff, so I had a little more trouble than I used to back in the day.
That's a problem right there. You got to make your free throws. Right. You got to make your free throws, even in double dribble. Come on now.
There we go.
LeBron had some trouble at the free throw line last night.
He has a lot of trouble in the playoffs. Tends to gag.
Alabama, that is something mentioning. Grown man basketball is now done. Mm-hmm. So this extra COVID year done for college basketball.
Well, that's kind of what Jordan was talking about. You're getting the 6th and 7th year players out. It's going to look more like a young players game again. Now they may go to the 5-year rule where you don't have a redshirt year and you can play for 5 years, and you may have some guys sticking around a year or two longer because of NIL.
As different as Alabama's going to look, Auburn. Well, Auburn's going to look. Is that almost a new team? Basically,
well, that's what we're going to ask Nathan King. But they're waiting waiting out Tahad Pettiford.
Yeah.
And if they don't have Tahad Pettiford back, I'm not sure they return anybody. So we're going to have to ask Nathan King of Auburn Undercover about that part of 24/7 Sports. But with Alabama, if they get LeBaron Philon back, they would have their core 4, and then Houston Millette would be 5 back, which is pretty good in this era of turnover. So we will see.
Yeah.
But Latrell Wrightsell, Aiden Holloway, Hayden Sherrill, and then LeBaron Philon would be the big 4 return.
I never thought I'd be playing double dribble here on a Thursday morning, but come on. This is addicting. I want to play double dribble right now and not sit in line over at anyway, we'll be right back.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
The PGA Tour tees off the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson at TPC Craig Ranch this week. Scotty Scheffler, the plus 280 favorite. Jordan Spieth, 18-1. Sue JM, 25-1. NASCAR racing this weekend at the Texas Motor Speedway. Friday, the Truck Series race. The SpeedwayCash.com 250. Corey Heim is the plus 150 favorite. Meanwhile, the Cup Series on Sunday, the Worth 400. Kyle Larson, the 5-1 favorite. It's William Byron 6-1, Tyler Reddick plus 750, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin both 8-1, while Ryan Blaney is 9-1. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They invite you to give them a call today at 256-881-5151 to experience the SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton, John Abraham behind the glass. A very good Thursday morning to you. We've already talked a little Alabama basketball here out of the gate, but the Auburn basketball team, boy, there is a lot to dive into in that subject, Drew DeArmond, with the run that they had, the SEC championship, the overall number 1 seed, and then all of a sudden a Final Four run. But here we are. It's time to construct a new team for Bruce Pearl. True.
It really is. And our next guest was on the run for the entirety of the greatest Auburn season in history. No disrespect to the young men in 2019 who broke through and nearly played in the NCAA finals.
Chuma Okeke.
Well, yeah, we know about that injury.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate.
And then the
but the heater he was on is more that was
then the controversial loss to Virginia. But this Auburn team,
oh my goodness,
I mean, they were the best team in the country for almost half the season. And then and we saw the Jonai Broom and Jonai. How he broke through and became so consistent and became one of the top 2 players in America. Just remarkable. And our good friend Denver Jones, who, hint, would be up for a Rocket City Award, who from the 256, who's had an outstanding run. And our good friend Chaney Johnson, who we saw grow. This was a very special Auburn team, but now they're having to be completely rebuilt. and we're going to discuss that and more with our next guest, who is one of the best in the business. He, of course, is a lead writer covering Auburn basketball and football for 24/7 Sports and Auburn Undercover, and that is Nathan King. Nathan, good morning. You're with Drew and Steve Moulton. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Now, I wanted to see, okay, I know Auburn is waiting on Tahad Pettiford, just like Alabama is still waiting on LeBaron Philon. It's kind of interesting that it's worked out on both sides this way. But if, Tahad Pettiford returns, is he the only one that would be returning from this Auburn basketball roster?
Yep, he's the only returning piece.
Wow. That's what I thought.
For next season. And, obviously Chad Baker-Mazara was the other one who had an opportunity.
That we thought,
to do so. And as I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit, he decided to hit the portal, ended up at USC this week. Darren Scott is a backup forward who was actually on scholarship. He's a scout team player, but he was on scholarship. He also entered the transfer portal. He technically would have been a returning player for them as well. Yeah, Bruce Pearl said it last week, that he's never had to do anything like this in his coaching career. You saw the writing on the wall last season with such an experienced team, such a senior-laden team. You knew they were going to have to do some sort of overhaul this coming season, but so far it's been more of a reload rather than a rebuild. I think they've done a really, really good job of patching up the roster, and as Bruce Pearl said, they need only one more player now. Obviously, if Tahad Pettiford doesn't return, that changes the calculus. That makes you have to go after a point guard, but they can't wait on that decision. They've got to obviously have that in the back of their minds and go out and get another big man transfer. And that would, if Pettiford does come back, that would complete their roster for next season.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, did Bruce say how he was attacking? Because you mentioned this is the first time he's done it, Nathan. Did he consult with anybody? This feels different, even in this grand perspective, more than anything, Nathan. This feels like it's just completely out of the box with as much changeover as it is.
It is. I will say there were a couple things that I think were working well for Auburn here. Number one, they already had 4 guys in the boat from their 2025 recruiting class, guys that have been signed for a long time, guys that have been committed for a long time, 3 freshmen coming in, and then a JUCO wing in Abdul Bashir, who was actually the top scorer in the entire JUCO level last season. And then they picked up Keyshawn Hall while the season was still going. He's their number one transfer. Right. He's rated as like a top 10, top 15 transfer by 24/7 leading scorer in the Big 12 last season. They actually got him like 3 days before the Final Four game. And so you kind of already had a decent foundation set up. You just needed to do patchwork here and there. And I will say as well, like that, they did a nice job of working quickly. All the guys that they've picked up so far, of course, it's come to a halt a little bit before this last player that they need to add. All those guys came in the span of 2 weeks, with the exception of Keyshawn Hall. As soon as the season ended, they got everybody else in the span of 2 weeks. That includes another JUCO pickup who's going to play some backup center for them, and then Keyshawn Murphy is going to be he could really start at the 4 or the 5 for them, the Mississippi State transfer. And so I think it is, it was all hands on deck for the staff for 2.5 weeks. But at the same time, like we talked about, they knew this was coming last season. They maybe didn't know how many scholarship players they would be losing, because they didn't know, about Chad Baker-Mazara. The Chaney Johnson situation was a little bit up in the air. Would he get another year of eligibility? Now, obviously, they're in a situation where they can't wait. They can't necessarily sit around and wait on that decision. And so I think they've done about as good of a job as they could have hoped. And now if they can add another impact player in the front court, they're set up to be a nice squad again next season.
Yeah, and then the interesting one too, and I was tipped off that this guy could really play, and his journey, just looking into his background, is a lot like Chaney Johnson's as far as being a late bloomer. But I'm talking about Elijah Freeman at Lincoln Memorial.
Rail splitter.
Yeah, he's a guy that as a senior in high school was only about a 6'3" guard. He hit a growth spurt when he got to college, and it's really kind of interesting how he parallels Chaney Johnson.
I think if Pettiford comes back, I think Elijah Freeman has the second highest ceiling on this team.
Wow.
And I don't know about next season. I don't know if he's going to make the jump right away, but he is kind of that Chumo Kiki mold of like, man, there's just a lot of tools going on with this guy. And all you got to do is turn on some tape from from last season. Yeah, you're right. He's a really, really interesting story. An unrated recruit from Wellington, Florida, who's playing high-level 7A basketball in Florida. But he was kind of a tweener guard, like you mentioned. Held his own there, but wasn't getting a lot of college attention. Goes the Division II route for 1 year at Lincoln Memorial, and is just absolutely phenomenal. 18 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, shoots 46% from beyond the arc, and just really bouncy. Lots of athletic tools. Auburn's thinking he's not even done necessarily from like a growth perspective. I mean, he's still, I don't know how much taller he's going to get, but he's now 6'8". They think he can, with a summer working in an SEC, strength and conditioning program, he can really start to round out into an impressive player. So that was the guy that visited them. I think he was actually their first visitor of the entire transfer cycle. It was between them and Tennessee, and then the Chad Baker-Mazara situation sort of opened that door again for Auburn. Obviously, Chad Baker-Mazara was a great player for Auburn the last 2 seasons, but once he came out and said that and gave you a little bit of clarity, said like, "Hey, I'm hitting the portal. I'm trying to leave." That allowed Auburn to increase their aggressiveness with Elijah Freeman, and they said, "Hey, man, this guy's not going to be here next season. You can come in and take a much bigger role than we even anticipated in the first place. So come on with it." And they were able to pick him up. I think he is a sneaky good addition for this class. Everybody else, in this transfer class for Auburn, you kind of can see their role pretty concretely. You can kind of see what they're going to do on this team next season. For me, Elijah Freeman is such a wild card. I mean, I really do think he could be a really exciting player in the SEC, if not this season, then maybe a couple years down the road as he continues to develop.
Was it a surprise that Chad Baker did leave the Auburn program?
I was surprised ultimately.
I think it was kind of like a 50-50. I mean, I think during the Final Four, there was no indication that he planned to leave Auburn. I think that was pretty clear. I think his plan was to come back next season. Now, he never put that on the books. When I talked to him in Atlanta, he had said, with the JUCO ruling, once the JUCO waiver came in, it threw him and his family for a loop because they were thinking about what he was going to do when he turns pro. Like, they were setting up the plan for after the season. All right, here's where I'm going to go train. Here's where I'm going to try to, set up to work out for teams. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey man, by the way, you have another year of eligibility. So I do think this was one thing that's clear. This was a Chad Baker-Mazara decision. This was not Auburn's decision. Auburn would have welcomed him back. Auburn really, really liked the idea of what his role could look like next season. At the same time, I don't want to say it's good for both sides because, Auburn would have liked to have had a third team all SEC player. They're like your second leading scorer on a Final Four team. Like, that doesn't grow on trees. So let's not I've seen some Auburn fans, let's not revisionist history this thing that act like Chad Baker-Mazara wasn't a really good player, because he was. But at the same time, on such a new team next season, maybe it wasn't the worst thing to sort of get that decision out of the way a couple weeks ago, so you could, know where to put your eggs in which basket and figure out what you want to do in terms of roster management. And so he commits to USC and Eric Musselman, and Auburn, like I said, get a little bit more clarity and honestly free up a little bit more NIL money to go pursue some more players.
But honestly, Nathan, watching Chad Baker, I kind of got my fill when the sniper routine against Oklahoma there at Auburn. I mean, that was kind of my fill point where I'm like, okay, I'm done with Chad Baker-Mazara. That's just me and my personal opinion. I just got tired of the antics. And I know he cleaned it up down the stretch, sort of, but at least for me, that Oklahoma game was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, he came back, and like you mentioned, throughout the NCAA tournament was fantastic. I mean, he was their best player in the Final Four against Florida. And look, that's just a Bruce Pearl, pillar of his program. Not saying Chad Baker-Mazara's antics in the first place, but defending your guys, knowing what kind of players they are and understanding like, hey, this may come with the territory a little bit, but we think he's a really, really good player. I think that's another element of it too for next season, was like, if he's the 6th-year senior leader on this team with a bunch of newcomers, I think it would have warranted a little bit of a change from him. It probably would have warranted a little bit more responsibility of like, hey man, you're now the guy that everybody looks up to. It's not like last season where there's so many seniors. Everybody knows how to play together. You've got to guide these guys the right way. And I do think Chad would have done a good job of that. But at the same time, like you said, there were some, ups and downs for him throughout the season. But I think, as time goes on, people will be less focused on those and more focused on what he delivered for this program over the course of 2 seasons, which of course was 2 SEC titles and a Final Four.
That's fair.
And I love Tahad Pettiford. So how is the communication between those parties? I would think that they're still working him hard because he would be the centerpiece of the squad. And he was tremendous as a freshman, but could be a guy that you could see being a first-team All-SEC, performer potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Todd Pettiford right now has an understanding of what Auburn will provide him if he comes back, and sort of not even just in terms of an NIL deal, but just an understanding of, like you said, being the centerpiece next season. They've communicated that to him even before the season ended. Nothing about this process is a surprise to anybody whatsoever. This was Todd Pettiford's plan all along. He got some NBA buzz during the season, so it only makes sense nowadays. It's so risk free to do this. It's only a win-win for you to go test the waters. And I do think he's the guy, though, it's not just all about testing the waters right now. It's not just about receiving feedback. I mean, he is a guy that could go out and receive some first-round buzz. You look right now, his name is kind of early second round, at least in terms of where he lands on big boards in terms of prospects for the draft. We're going to find out over the course of this month. He has until May 28th to pull out. I will say on May 12th, the NBA draft lottery comes out, and Bruce Pearl pointed that out. Not that Todd Pettiford could be a top 14 pick in the lottery, but he was looking more so at what the rest of the group will look like, the teams that are left in the playoffs that are going to be later in the first round, and saying, okay, do these teams have a need for a small point guard? Like, would they be teams that are going to be looking out for a guy like Todd Pettiford? If that's the case, things maybe get a little dicey. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's not any teams in the playoffs where it's like, I don't really see him fitting there, I don't really see any teams having much interest, maybe that makes your answer a little bit clearer. But, I wouldn't think this is going to be a process that's necessarily nail-biting for Auburn over the next couple weeks, but you never know. I mean, he's going to go to the NBA Combine in Chicago. We know, you mentioned it, we know about his skill set. He's a really, really talented young player that can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands. I wouldn't be surprised if he, wows over there and shows off against some NBA, personnel and gets some good reviews. And so it's just a matter of how good. Obviously, Auburn's hope right now is that he gets some good feedback, but not too good to where teams are talking about taking him in the first round. But regardless of what his draft prospects are, I do think Auburn is prepared to make him the centerpiece of next year's team, both on the NIL front and, like you said, in terms of what his role would be.
And then Auburn football, the portal has closed, and and Auburn lost some guys, but I don't think anyone that they were counting on to be a key performer, like as far as starting wise. And they've added pieces. Where in your mind is Auburn football right now, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, they still might be looking out for a couple guys. They addressed their needs very quickly,
right?
Which I think was the important thing. Their needs were on the front seven. They went out and got 2 defensive tackles, and then their needs were at starting linebacker, and they went out and got Maryland's starting middle linebacker. And so I think they did a good job of that. They also pick up Rashawn Pleasant at cornerback, and now they have honestly, their cornerback rotation in terms of the top 4 or 5 guys, that's one of the strongest positions on the team. And so maybe tight end is somebody you're looking at, just because it's Brandon Frazier and then not a ton else at that position. Maybe a 4th quarterback, only from the perspective of a guy that's going to fill out that 4th spot, like not a contender, not somebody who's going to come in and compete for the job, because they feel like they already have 2 players who are going to do that. They feel like they may have 3 players that are going to do that. And so you would want to bring in a guy that's going to be understanding of what his role is going to be. Like, hey, I'm the 4th quarterback. I'm the guy who's just going to come here and enjoy being on the team and enjoy that backup role and relish, that role on the team without necessarily, an expectation that he's going to see the field. Now, are there a lot of players like that in the portal? I don't think so. That's Hugh Freeze talked about it after A-Day. Like, that's not an easy pitch to make to somebody. But at the same time, they've had guys like that over the years. You guys remember Grant Loy, from a few years ago. Guys who are comfortable with that position, know that they're going to be a backup on the team. And so I think really just those couple positions, maybe. And other than that, you mentioned it, Hugh Freeze kind of has this roster exactly where he wants it. It's another year without much loss for this team in the transfer portal. Like, you'd have to circle back to before the Hugh Freeze era to really, point to any sort of major transfer loss. Like guys that going in the portal that you really felt like, did a number on a position group or on a respective side of the ball. I think they've done a good job of keeping everybody, guys like a Perry Thompson, who I think some people wondered, like, is he going to stick around? He didn't play that much last season. You retain a guy like that, Amaris Williams, your 5-star defensive end. He tested the transfer portal for a little bit, and then they got him right back. And so they've done a good job of that. It all adds up, guys, to the underlying fact about this upcoming season for Auburn, and that is that there aren't many excuses left. There are not many excuses left on the table from a talent perspective, from a roster perspective, from a development perspective. In year 3, it's time to go win some games. Hugh Freeze said it in the spring, and I think some people made fun of him and said, oh, Captain Obvious. But it's like, no, I thought it was kind of, poignant by Hugh Freeze to say, it's time to go win some football games. Like, it's sort of, you're cutting out all the nonsense at this point and saying, you've got the talent, you've got the roster, you don't have to go win a championship, but they know they have to be improved this season, or else things could get pretty dicey for him.
Defensively, I mean, listen, this spring in particular, it's been difficult for me. I don't know about you, of just trying to figure out who's got what more than anything. But defensively, even looking at Auburn on the field, does it kind of pop off? Is it impressive to? I mean, I know Falk, that number 15, is really impressive.
Stud.
Yeah, but I mean, is there someone else on the lurk there that may play at that high a level for Auburn defensively, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the talent. I mean, that starts to pop off about this team. You just look out there at a practice, and you from top to bottom, because of the way they've done recruiting the last couple of years, there are just straight up better players at every single position, even if they're young guys who aren't necessarily ready yet. They look the part. I mentioned that cornerback spot, that duo with Kay and Lee, and then Jay Crawford was just a true freshman last year, but he was one of the best players at his position for his age. He was one of the best freshman cover corners in all of college football. A guy that I think is really underrated is Caleb Harris, a sophomore at a Thompson High School. Okay. He became their starting safety about midway through last season. Ends up as the 4th leading tackler on the team. He's the leading returning tackler on this team. Everybody knows about a guy like DeMarcus Riddick, the former Georgia commit, who didn't become a starter at linebacker last year, but had a role on that defense and started to play really well down the stretch. I think you have to point to those guys. A guy like a Malik Blockton on the defensive end. I mentioned Amaris Williams. Those second-year guys, and obviously it matters for the offense too. Like Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, you want those guys to be good, but they sort of have already shown that. For Auburn's defense, it's going to be, can those freshmen from last season that had so much playing time, I think they led the country right in defensive snaps for true freshmen in college football. Can those guys take the next step this season to complement guys like Keldrick Falk, because they're going to need it, particularly on the front 7. They don't really have a superstar defensive tackle. They don't even have anybody that necessarily jumps off the page that much at defensive tackle experience, production, what have you. They went and got a couple guys in the portal. Obviously, Keldrick Falk is there at that defensive end spot, but it's sort of going to be all hands on deck there in the front 7, and they're going to need to find some difference makers for sure, because as you guys know, if you can't control the line of scrimmage on defense, particularly in the SEC, it's going to be a long season for you.
And then final question for you, and we appreciate your time, Nathan. We know you have a very busy schedule. I wanted to circle back to basketball because you said one final front court piece. I should have asked you about this, but I know he's going to be on campus tomorrow. What are the chances? Is James Scott, the transfer from Louisville, the center, is he someone that could be that final front court piece? Is that how it's maybe shaping up to be?
He could be, yeah. Really interesting situation there, because a couple days ago it was being thrown around that like he was a lock to go to NC State with Will Wade. Like that was their guy, and it was one of the things. I mean, you guys know how it goes on Twitter and stuff. Like people already, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, and then he decides to take this Auburn visit, and so obviously they pushed up the aggressiveness here. Really interesting player. Really interesting frame on him. He was Louisville's starting center last season, but he's not necessarily a very beefy player. He's like 6'10", 6'11", but about 200, 210 pounds. So little bit more of that length rather than size. Really, really good defensive player. He's not somebody, they're not, if you were to pick up a James Scott, you're not going to run your offense through him at the 5 spot. But at the same time, they were never going to do that at center this year. This is going to be more of a guard-driven team, whereas last year was center-driven. But his defensive numbers are really good. He was number 7 in the ACC in overall defensive rating. He was number 5 in the ACC in defensive plus-minus, and he was the leading 2-point field goal percentage player in the entire ACC. And you would pair him with a guy like Keyshawn Murphy, the Mississippi State transfer, who led the SEC and made 2-point field goals. So I think that just sort of underscores maybe what you would have at the front court position, those 4 or 5 spots next year. Less flash because Janai Broome was your do-it-all player, more so defense, rebounding, and when you have the ball 3 feet from the basket, you're going to turn around and make a 2-point shot. Like maybe some more fundamental elements of the center and power forward positions for this team. But yeah, like you said, James Scott gets on campus on Friday. He leaves on Saturday, so we'll have an update on him after that. Should be really interesting. I think he fits the bill of the kind of player they want to go get. Clearly, you weren't going to get a superstar is the thing. Like there's nobody even really like that in the portal at center or power forward. And if there is, they're going to cost you $2.5 million. So you're not going to go get another Janai Broome type player. But what you do want to get is somebody that you feel like has some experience, has some power forward experience like he does at Louisville, and that fits well in your system. And so I think he'd be a good pickup, but we'll see if they can land him. If not, it'll be on to the next guy.
Great stuff from Nathan King. Let everybody know how to follow you, my friend. You do an amazing job covering Auburn athletics, and we always appreciate the time. Thank you for the extended conversation.
For sure. AuburnUndercover.com. Got baseball still rolling. Of course, basketball recruiting and football recruiting are about to kick into high gear from the portal, moving into summer camps, especially for football coming up as they try to close on a really good 2026 class. And you can follow it all at AuburnUndercover.com.
Thank you, sir.
Nathan.
Thank you.
So one other nugget I wanted to throw out before we head off to a timeout, because I can't remember the last time I've seen this.
Yeah.
Period. The fine folks at FanDuel came out with odds for your odds-on favorite to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft in 2026. Now, listen, I know the way too early stuff is blah, blah, blah. I get it. Your odds-on favorite, by the way, is Arch Manning.
Who will not be in the draft.
Will probably not be in the draft.
I guarantee he will not.
If he is the number 1 overall pick, I could see him. If that's a guarantee, that's what kept Peyton Manning with Tennessee, because the Jets wouldn't commit. You remember that?
I don't even buy that, but oh well.
But anyway, beyond Arch Manning, Auburn fans, Drew Allard, the quarterback at Penn State, that is at a plus 250. By the way, Arch is at a plus 225. Then Garrett Nussmeier, don't get me started on Garrett Nussmeier, at a plus 500. Lenoris Sellers at a plus 900. The last name on the list, and this is a list followed by Caleb Downs at a plus 2,500, is Keldrick Falk to be the number 1 overall pick of the 2026 NFL draft. That's at a plus 2,800.
Did anybody watch Drew Aller in the playoffs? He was terrible. And now we're going to go on a break here on Talkin' Ball on this Thursday. He sucked. And we'll be back with more conversation, and the phone line's open to you, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We've been doing all this. I kept thinking we'd come back from the break and then we would be, he's on fire. We'd have some NBA jam going on.
No. If this comes on, I realize it's May 1st. I'm telling you, I'm ready for some football. And by the way, I don't mean UF whatever. What is that? The UFL? I know you were hip deep in it the other day. There, John Abraham, talking UFL.
Oh yeah, it's always a wonderful conversation with James Larson, man.
I can't do it.
It's intriguing.
I don't know why.
Horrible.
I don't know why I can't, but I just
look. I can understand where Drew's coming from because it's not the same level of play that you see in the NFL or in the college football. It doesn't have that feel to it, and obviously the stands aren't going to be packed. It doesn't have that energy. Yeah. But it's still intriguing to see some of these guys that we've seen in the NFL.
I'm not saying there's not value in it. There is value in it. It's just I don't have a value in it.
That's understandable. I also really like the new technology that they're utilizing, like having.
What are they doing? I have no idea.
Just having the mic'd on the coaches, on the quarterbacks, and then like the entire game, and then on top of that, the reviews. You can challenge penalties. I mean, there's a lot of different things in the game that just. It's intriguing to think, what if this was put into the NFL? What if this was adapted
I mean,
into
they wouldn't have that kickoff without. And by the way, I hate the kickoff.
It's a little ugly still.
Can we just go back to the way I mean, the kickoff in particular, I think has taken away from football for the National Football League. Although I will tell you, this past year is as little of the NFL as I've watched. But I mean, we're in the middle of the forest here in college football land. So there's only so much football. But college football is starting to seep into that professional ranks. It's starting to give me a little bit more of that feel the longer we go down to this rabbit hole. So, I mean, what am I really complaining about? It's
Okay, I'm right there with you though. Hearing the band start playing and the players start running out and all of the tradition, and then on top of that, even the NFL. I mean, it's just there's a different feeling altogether, and I'm excited for the Blitz because we will be talking a little bit more college football today. And on top of that,
we really?
Some high school football at that. Maybe more in the second hour, but you know.
I will tell you that we will be talking some SEC baseball.
There we go.
In the second hour, Kyle Schasberger is
May
gonna join us.
20th. That's the first day, and this year it's a different format. All 16.
That's
we talked to
right.
Chris Lee
That's
about
right.
it. It's a single
Yeah.
elimination, so no more double elimination. You got to stay alive there, and so it's always a great event. It's tougher than any regional you're going to have to go through, and it'll be even tougher now with the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners there. Both Texas right now is
Texas
running away with the regular season.
They're number
championship.
one in the country.
Yeah, they're number one in the country. Just ask.
Followed by LSU,
and then Oklahoma's battling to host a regional too. But Alabama and Auburn are still in that conversation.
So I know it's a big weekend series with Alabama and Vanderbilt. I
In
get
Nashville,
that.
yep.
But I mean, if things work out next weekend with Alabama, Georgia, that could be for a regional seed.
It could be, and then our good friend Slade Alford's having one hell of a senior season. Former Bob Jones Patriot for the Georgia Bulldogs. Yes, I mean he's one of the Georgia's top 2 hitters, and he transferred a couple years ago from Mississippi State, turned his career around, had a really good year last year. And
Mississippi State, I know y'all.
Once again, they're having a really good year, and they can stay away from Rob Vaughn. Let's on to the next one. I would just tell Mississippi State, and they have a lot of tradition and a lot of resources. I do think they're going to get an outstanding coach. I mean, they have great fans.
It's a great tradition.
Great facilities. And they're, as our good friend Steve Robertson says, they are a baseball school.
Yeah.
I mean, more than any. Now, they have to fix football because it pays the bills, but everybody knows that you're going to have support at Mississippi State and that you must win. Because if you don't, I mean, I was at the Alabama-Mississippi State series, and by the way, that's Alabama's right now. If they don't host a regional, that may come back to haunt them. That was the best series of the year for Mississippi State, and I was in the press box, and you could just feel it. Ron Polk was there. I mean, walking around.
Wow.
So the great Ron Polk, who there because the radio booth was so packed at Mississippi State, he was in Alabama's radio booth, but he still loves college baseball, and it was great to see one of the icons that built the sport.
Before we take our second time out, let's squeeze in Steeler Mike. Good morning, Steeler Mike.
What's up, man?
Good morning, guys. I don't know if you've noticed or not, or judging by attendance, you haven't. The Pirates were able to win a game last night.
Did they?
You guys are talking.
Yeah.
Did
they?
Yeah.
Was Skeens on the mound?
Skeens is throwing 11:30 today. Everybody needs to take
Nice.
a lunch break. Yeah.
Gosh, that's not the main
Yeah.
story of the night, though. It was a
Oh,
crazy
last-
thing that happened.
What happened?
Yeah, the guy just falls out of right field off the 21 foot.
Oh, I read about that. Yeah.
Onto the field, and he's in critical condition. It's just
Lord.
McCutcheon gets a double to take
Yeah.
the lead. First time we've come back in late innings all year to take a lead, and all 13 fans were going crazy. And then all of a sudden, everything stops, and a guy just falls off the bleachers. But
Man, I hate to hear
hopefully
that.
he's okay.
Yeah,
But,
hate to hear that.
See what y'all's thoughts are. He was kind of a guy that I liked, and I know going back to the NFL draft. See what y'all thoughts are on Jackson Dart and where you see him progressing in the NFL. And guys, I love what you do, and do what you do, Phil Jr.
Thank you, man. And I got to say this, and don't worry, Mississippi State's mentioned Tony Vitello, but only to say that they don't have a chance in hell.
Did you
'cause
see
he's making $3 million a year?
Drew, did you see the sit down that John Gruden had with Dart?
I did not. I know he's back doing his QB school, but I'll just say this. This is my opinion of Jackson Dart. In other words, he gags in the clutch. He has tools, toughness, mobility, a good arm. But tell me the last big game he won. Against
everybody's
Kentucky,
going to look at the
he
Georgia
Heimlich.
game.
The Florida game, he Heimlich. He didn't even play well in the Georgia game.
That's why I said it like I did right there. All right.
Okay.
It was a big win for Ole Miss, but I mean, if you really
Here is my opinion of Jackson Dart. I would not have traded him for Jalen Milroe. I would take Milroe and just keep him. I wouldn't trade Milroe for him. I do not like Jackson Dart. I think he's a bust, and I think he'll get Dable fired. I like Brian Dable, but he's not the answer. He never could make plays in that Ole Miss team should have been a playoff team. And if they weren't, if he had played Kentucky. Better football, then they win. Did you see how bad he played down the stretch against Florida? It was an absolute abomination.
Yeah.
He's not any good. I don't care what anybody says. Shedeur Sanders is better, but Shedeur Sanders botched the entire draft process because he acted like he was a top 5 pick. Yeah. He should have been a second-round pick.
Should have had an agent.
And he might even have been a late first to the Giants if he hadn't acted like a turd. But he acted like a turd.
So the biggest issue that I have, at least, hearing from experts and seeing what I see, going off of what you just said, Drew, right there, when Gruden asked Dart to give him a cadence, keep in mind the system that he's coming out there with Lane Kiffin, he sat back and did that. That's his cadence.
And this tells you something else, that Lane Kiffin is not a quarterback whisperer. He is a play caller.
He slapped his hands and said that was his cadence.
He's a play caller. He's not a developer of quarterbacks. He never has been, nor will he ever be. He's not Steve Sarkisian. He's not Kalen DeBoer.
But he does like the hot yoga.
Whatever.
And we like our next break. Time for our next break. Yeah. We've had a double dribble reference. We've had a hot yoga reference. But, yeah, him slapping his hands in front of Gruden, I was like, ooh, that's a steep learning curve there in the National Football League. Yeah, you're going to have to do more than clap your hands there in the National Football League. Let's take our second timeout here on this Thursday morning. We'll continue with your phone calls on the other side. It is Talkin' Ball here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly clouded, overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms going to develop across the Tennessee Valley, especially through the later part of the afternoon and then early into the evening. Temperatures climbing into the lower 80s across the Tennessee Valley. Now, some of those thunderstorms could pack a bit of a punch, some gusty winds, and a little bit of small hail thrown into the mix as well. Temperatures dropping into the lower 60s as we head into the overnight. A lot of that activity going to come to an end across the Tennessee Valley. Much the same, though, as we head into your Friday, a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky. Temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I screw up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
Back here on Talkin' Ball, I'm telling you, some of these breaks need to be on the air. 256-576-4977, the telephone number. I know you guys chronicled it yesterday, but I wasn't here yesterday. So let's turn our attention to NBC News.
Why?
NBC News.
Great.
A runaway kangaroo back home and safe this morning. I feel like I'm becoming a meme as I read this. Back home and safe after leading authorities on a wild chase that shut down an Alabama highway. So this is Sheila. Turns out Sheila's someone's pet there in Alabama. She escaped from her enclosure yesterday. The wayward marsupial got a little bit of freedom, got her money's worth. Hopping up and down on the interstate there, dodging traffic along the way. SG, state troopers shut down both sides of the highway. Eventually, the owner used a tranquilizer dart to slow down the animal and wrangle her. He says she's doing well this morning.
Well, she caused the 2-car accident. And, and our good friend Freddie Kirby, he helped us come off the rails yesterday by reminding me of Sheila from the 1980s.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, I hadn't either until he said it.
I didn't think about that one.
That was good.
Yeah.
And
Well, Sean.
and then I couldn't get Sheila out of my head for the rest of the morning. Here we go.
No. Please. No. 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 Oh my gosh. All right, that's living rent free for the rest of the day in my head.
There you go. Did for me.
Golly Moses.
You did this to yourself. You brought the story back up, man.
Really? So we kind of buried the lead, honestly, with Nathan King. I mean, is Bruce Pearl going to go after the kangaroo?
Here we go. We even found that we realized that while we were in Texas last year, Steve, that's where a kangaroo farm is, where you can buy one
Oh, really?
for $2,500.
How did I miss this?
Well, Scott looked it up.
Okay, well,
when we were watching Looney Tunes, boing, 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 hippity hopper.
So there you go. That is your NBC News report of the day.
Hey, at least we didn't have to hear from Mike Florio about the Democratic Party.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah.
256-576-4977 is the telephone number. Well, let's go ahead and fire off our last break and get ahead of the game. All right, let's get ahead of the game. Tomorrow's headlines today comes up next right here on Talkin' Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a wreck at Douglas Road and Pettis Road. That one reported with injury, but they canceled him. Still working Wall, Triana, and Dexter Circle. That one had injury and entrapment. And we had one in Limestone County, 99 at Salem Minor Hill, that still may be trying to clear. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those AC repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Carrabba's Italian Grill is the best place to enjoy authentic Italian cuisine, passed down from our founders' family recipes. Featuring a wood-burning grill, you can enjoy Carrabba's signature dishes, including chicken brine, wood-fired grilled steak and chops, and classic Italian pasta dishes. Have a special event? Elevate your catering with Carrabba's Catering, the perfect way to enjoy large party portions of your favorite hand-prepared dishes for any event. Carrabba's Italian Grill at Parkway Place, Huntsville.
Hey there, everybody. Bob Baumhauer here, letting you know that we understand that times are tough and we truly believe value matters. So, by popular demand, we brought back our Inflation Bites menu featuring scratch-made meals that will make the whole family smile, and your wallet, too. Menu items start at just $7.99, and any entree comes with a free beverage. Try our classic tailgate burger for just $8.99, or our hearty Bam Bam chicken platter for $9.99. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Buying that perfect home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. So it's crucial that you have the right partner to help you through the process. Hi, I'm Stuart Evans, mortgage loan officer for Bryant Bank, and I'm here to tell you that we are that partner. We offer a variety of mortgage products to fit your unique home buying situation in a changing rate environment. That kind of hassle-free approach might not be what you'd expect from a bank. It's exactly what you can expect from us. Give me a call today or visit me at our downtown Huntsville office and let me show you what banking beyond expectation is all about.
Bryant Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We've talked a little everything, be it Sheila the kangaroo, double dribble. We've talked a lot of basketball here today with both Alabama and Auburn. But your tomorrow's headlines today, I mean, after all, this is the state of Alabama. You love college football. We love college football. Brad Crawford has come out with his power rankings for the SEC this fall. Now that the portal's done, the portal is
It's not even done. You heard Nathan King saying that Auburn's not done.
Technically, it's closed, but yeah, no, if you're still in the portal, you can move. As well as the other caveat to the portal is if you graduate, you can also do that as well.
I know.
Here are your power rankings from Brad Crawford. I'll go from 16 to 1. 16, and you did these last year, your power rankings.
Yeah, I did it with the now semi-retired.
How about that?
Brent Vorneman. Gonna miss him.
Number
Love the
16,
dude.
Mississippi State. Can we all? They've won one SEC game the last 2 years. Mississippi State is. This has to be the lowest of the low in terms of this program at Mississippi State. There's been a lot of low points, but one SEC win over the last 2 years. This has to be the low point, right?
Well, they
For
didn't.
Mississippi State.
I mean, they didn't change defensive coordinators.
15 is Kentucky. 15 is Kentucky. 14 are the Vanderbilt Commodores. Number
Man,
13.
not getting any respect for winning a bowl game, man.
Number 13 is the Arkansas Razorbacks. Number 12, the Auburn Tigers. Number 11, Missouri, the other Tigers. We break into the top 10 with your favorite team, Texas A&M, the Aggies at number 10. Number 9, the Tennessee Volunteers. Really? That feels a touch high to me. Tennessee at number 9. Number 8, the Florida Gators. Number 7, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Finally, a little sanity, because when I'm telling you, when we go to Atlanta, everyone's falling in love with Shane Beamer.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, the Ole Miss Rebels.
Right.
Number 5, the Oklahoma Sooners.
Interesting moving up that eye.
Number 4, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Interesting. A little low for Georgia usually.
Number 3, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 2, the LSU Tigers.
And
the Tigers.
And number 1, 35 to 40 million.
How about that? Hook them is number 1 on the power rankings.
Well, what does B Rich think about that? B Rich, what do you think about Hookem being number 1? What's up,
B-Rich?
Rich? Hey, man.
Morning.
What's going on? Hey, who put out that poll again?
Yeah.
That'd be 247 Sports Brad
Crawford. He's a South Carolina honk.
All right. So, Oklahoma, I mean, I do believe Mateer is a really good quarterback, but yeah, I don't know about that. That's a big jump.
Yeah, it is. It's a
big jump.
Real quick, wanted to touch on this, Drew. You know, growing up, like, I was a Lakers guy.
Yes, you were.
And, man, I cannot wait for LeBron to leave so I can get the purple and gold back out. Once he leaves, I'll back in on the Lakers. I mean, with Luka and all that, I'll be back in. But, like, I saw a highlight from him last night flopping. And this dude is, 6'9", 250, and got bumped by a little white guy and went down like a Euro soccer player, like he'd been shot. I mean, it's embarrassing how he doesn't have enough self-pride to just play more physical and just go in there and dominate. It just tells you he doesn't have that dog mentality. But if you haven't watched this, I've been watching the Boston Celtics thing on Max.
Y'all, it's great. Celtic City. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's
We are flat out of time.
Thank you, B-Rich.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying roll tide and war eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection